maintenance man here at Mr. Dog Poop Studios, and today we're talking about wire crimps. Everything you wanted to know, but were afraid to ask. We use wire crimps at the end of a wire so that we can connect it to something. For example, this is a spade connector. That will connect to a spade. We can also use that to connect wires by using two of those, putting them together. If we want to attach to a bolt, we can use something like this to slip on, or a lug, which can then get bolted on. So we use the connectors at the end of the wire to make connections to other things. We're talking about wires from 10 gauge to 28 gauge. Anything bigger than 10 gauge, 8 gauge, we're using bigger crimps. We did another video about that. This is 10 gauge. We have some 10 gauge wire here. 10 gauge wire on up to very fine wire, which you can't even see the middle of it. Wire crimps come in 3 different sizes, which are designated by red, yellow, and blue. The yellow is 10 to 12 gauge. The blue is 14 to 16 gauge. And then the red is 18 to 24, I believe. So different size wires, different size crimps. What do we need? We need wire cutters. Here's a couple different types of wire cutters. Here's diagonals, and then these are just whatever you call those things. We need wire strippers. Here's some different wire strippers. This is a multi-tool wire stripper that can go on. You find your gauge, so you can see the gauges written in here. It's also a cutter, so I can cut the wire with it. I put it into 10 gauge, crimp it down, and pull it out. It's not elegant, but it works. This has a similar tool where it has a wire cutter. Ugh, not very good. Get out the diagonals and cut it. And then it has wire stripper. Ugh, again, not very elegant, but it works. And this one also crimps, and you'll see little indicators here, 12 to 10, 16, 14, 22 to 18. And the colors red, blue, and yellow. Here's a crimper, again, is color-coded. The yellow, the blue, and the red. This is for even smaller. This goes 18 to 20, 20 to 22, 24 to 28. And this one is typically used, although it does say that it's for insulated, it's typically used for non-insulated. I'm going to take a 10 gauge connector, put it on here, and now we need to crimp it. And that way we can put that on something like this switch. We can take that screw out and screw it to it. These don't work that well for non-insulated because they are made with the insulation and they take that into account, but you can use it. This is the worst tool that you can buy. It is literally the cheapest, most horrible, and I don't use it. This one isn't too bad if you have the insulators. These don't work at all. What I use is this Aircraft Marine Products from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They don't make these anymore. I picked up a few of them on eBay. This is the best tool. I don't use it as a wire stripper, although it does have that ability. I use it as a crimper, and it is the best crimper. When you crimp, you'll see that it's basically a half circle. And what we want to do is we want to put this in here with the top of it, and then you just, as tight as you can, crimp it. And now that is on there tight, and you can see the crimp mark. It's important that you keep it upright and that you have the half circle on the top and the half circle on the bottom, because the crimps are split. you can see there's a little split. They're actually rolled up. And this becomes really important especially if you have these insulators, because the insulators, you can't really see what your crimp was. So I took the insulator off of this, and now I'm going to crimp it side to side instead of from the top. And you'll see what happens is that splits, and then you don't have the crimp. But I can actually feel that being loose. So that is not going to work. Make sure you always do it from the top. And now that I've split it, I can't really save it. So always top to bottom on the crimp. Cutters, I recommend diagonals or dikes. These are South wire, they're about 20 bucks. And for stripping wires, I always use this type of tool. So it has the wire gauges on there, and this tool, you saw me struggle with the other tool. You simply put it in, this is 10 gauge, so I put it in the 10 gauge hole. It clamps down on this side, and it pulls the insulation right off. Very easy to figure out, because when it clamps down, you know exactly how much you have left. This is only a $20 tool. These are about $20 in the good brand, so this is invaluable as far as stripping wires. So it's good for automotive applications. It's good for, especially when you're getting into small wires like these. You can strip that right off without fighting it, and look how clean that is. I put this wire in here and use this tool, stick the wire in it, and then when I crimp it, so that almost looks like a factory crimp when you compare it to something like that. The type of crimping tool that you use is going to change your crimp. You can use insulated crimps, or you can do something like using shrink wrap. So right now we have this area that could touch something. So all you need is shrink wrap, and shrink wrap cuts very nicely just with diagonals. You typically have to put it on the wire before you crimp it. We'll go ahead and stick it on there, and then using a heat gun, so there you go. Now you have it's covered, insulated. So now if I want to attach this to a switch, and that's how you attach a wire to a switch. So my recommendation is a good set of diagonals. This is made by South Wire. They're $20 on Amazon. This is a wire stripper, and my recommendation for crimping is this tool, which is no longer made, but you can pick them up on eBay. It's made by Aircraft Marine Products. I think it became AMP. This tool's good. These aren't bad for 10 gauge. So if we take a piece of our 10 gauge and just strip the end of it, let's see how easy and nice that is. Put our connector on, make sure your connector goes through, and then put it in the yellow section. Now it's going to crimp it, and you'll see that's crimped. It feels loose, which is why I don't like these, because I can pull it. But if I take this crimping tool and put it on here and squeeze it, now it's extremely tight. So I try to stay away from all these other tools. I stick with this one. This one's nice for those nice factory for small wires. This one would work, but it's going to require a lot more pressure on your end. And these are cheap, probably $2-3 at Harbor Freight, and they're worth it. These are also crimpers. This is, I think, a little more expensive. This is a Harbor Freight one. Again, we can take one of these, got our wire in there, and then just crimp it down like that. I mean, it gives you a good crimp. I believe the ends are wire cutters. Barely. So you got a wire cutter. That's a tight crimp. So there's that kind of a crimping tool, and you'll see there's different sections for different sizes. You can use butt crimps, and this will take 2 wires and just put it in. Put this one in this side. The insulated ones really suck because you can't really see where the crimping area is, and in this case you can't even see where the splice is or where the seam is. So sometimes you're going to crimp these and you're going to be like, oh, I didn't get it right. But that puts 2 wires together. So if you had 2 wires you wanted to connect in a car, stereo system, you wouldn't use that in a house or anything like that. And you have an ugly crimp like that, and you just stick a piece of that over it, hit it with your heat gun. And that'll keep your wire from shorting out on something metal. Hopefully some of that information helps. We're here, we're trying. If some of it helped you, please leave a comment. Otherwise, if you didn't like it, please leave a comment. That's usually what we get. Worst video ever. Okay, we're trying, guys. Yeah, I mean, we're a freaking movie studio. We're not a freaking electrical place.
We're Tico now.
We're Tico, yeah.